Hello. It's been a little while since I saw y'all last. Quick little update on what I've done with the bus so far would be this. My younger brother and my father helped me get the roof completely done. I'll put in some video of that. Basically, it had a bunch of leaks in it and the wood was rotted. So I wound up having to take the entire roof off, clean up all the rust, replace it. And then I've got 2 layers of fiberglass sealed with epoxy. And then I'm going to take some Henry's Tropical and put it over that. So after I paint it, I'm going to be putting a roof hatch right in the middle here. Just basically replacing where the emergency hatch was originally on the bus. And then before any of this happens, aka the painting, I have to finish this little portion. Wound up running out of epoxy, so I'm waiting on that to come in. Should be here tomorrow. Fingers crossed for that. And then that'll finish up the roof. Then I think I'm gonna sand it, but I'm not sure yet. I need to do some research to make sure that the white that's here, that's from the rain. Basically what I was reading is that when it rains on fully cured epoxy, it turns white because of the off-gassing that the epoxy has till it fully cures. So the white is basically on the top of the epoxy and not in the epoxy or affecting it anyway. So I'm still deciding. I think I'm gonna sand it and then just clean it with some acetone and then paint over it. That way I know that the paint actually attached to the roof and I'm not gonna have any issues with it. The other thing that my brother and father did while I was at work, I believe this was on Black Friday, is they went through and did the floors. So my brother sanded one day and then they went and got fiberglass and resin to do this. That way the floor is sealed so that we can start putting down a subfloor. The one other thing that I've done is I started to put up Killamat up there as a sound deadener. So hopefully that'll help a little bit. But other than that, I have solar being ordered. That should be coming in. I ordered that on Cyber Monday. Got a nice deal with that. And then I ordered insulation today as well. So those should be coming in within the next week or so that I can start actually building the thing up. One more thing I do want to show. My way of keeping my AC up. A couple straps, little plywood, some 2x4s. Thought it was a little inventive. Brother helped me with that. But yeah, that's about it. I'm getting somewhere on it, so hopefully within the next week or so I can actually start building the inside and making it into a little home. All right, see you guys in the next video. Why are you flipped?
It's because it doesn't auto-rotate when you're recording.
The roof.
Yeah, how it's roofing.
Mm-hmm. March 1st. It's been a while since I put out a video on YouTube. According to YouTube, it's been a full 3 months. A lot's changed since then. Let's start where I left you last. Wonderful roof. I naively FaceTimed my brother when I first got my bus and told him that it looked pretty good. Oh boy, was I wrong. The roof I originally thought was really good was actually completely rotted and molded through. So, we did the smart thing. Removed the roof, started cleaning all the beams, and replacing it. As the sun set on our first day of doing all that, we decided that we'd take a second and eat dinner. So, well, of course, we had Subway on the roof. We on the roof and basically went through, got all the plywood down, and then started fiberglassing. Put a coat of epoxy down, laid the fiberglass down, completely ruined a pair of jeans and boots, but that's what happens. We finished probably about 1 o'clock in the morning. It was early December, or not even, I think it was November. So, temperature wasn't too bad out. We're in the south. Let that cure, and this is the result of the morning. I'm definitely not a fiberglasser, if you guys can't tell. Continued on and took a couple of days and had to do a second layer, so my dad showed up. I think it was Thanksgiving time. Dad helped me fiberglass the second layer. Ends up, we ran out of epoxy. Of course, wait a couple more days, get more epoxy. Once I did that, I applied paint. I used the Henry Tropical, the popular thing that everybody's using. It's expensive. And it worked for most of the roof. That last square that I did ended up not staying. Basically, I got very frustrated. We were putting on the AC and my foot slipped and a whole chunk came off, and we found that entire square had the same thing happening. So, I did the only thing I could think of, and I went to Facebook. Luckily, somebody on Facebook was able to tell me that apparently epoxy, when it cures, has something called an amine blush. It's a waxy layer that, when it cures, it just basically makes it so that nothing can stick to it. And the paint was one of those things. So, thankfully, from this person on Facebook, I was able to strip all the paint, which took way too much time, and then repaint it after cleaning it the proper way that mine blush has to be cleaned. Let it cure, and amazingly, the paint stayed. Now, on to the fun part. We actually got to be able to go and put solar panels and a roof hatch in, but we'll put that in the next video. I've actually got some footage of that, so hopefully it won't be 3 months from now. With that said, I want to end this video by saying, if you are working on a bus build, stay positive. Kind of talking to myself here, but it's one of those things that it's stressful. You don't know what you're doing, and everything on YouTube sits there and says, hey, this is how you do this, and this is how you do that, and you look on Facebook and everybody's succeeding, and here I am 3 months later. It took way too long to do a roof, but it's because I had ups and downs, and sometimes you gotta just take one foot and put it in front of the other and keep walking. Thanks for watching. Hey y'all, because I suck at planning to take videos and planning to be able to talk to you and explain things out, I've decided to do another voiceover real quick, kind of just explaining through what I did in my next steps after I finally got my ceiling or my roof to be complete. That consists of my framing, flooring, and insulation. So to start, I did decide to keep my floor originally from the bus in. I did take all the matting out and everything like that, but we left the rails and the wood. That was just a timing decision. We decided that I didn't have the time to go and mess around with trying to take all that stuff out. It's super hard and super tedious in order to do that. So we decided that we were going to put a protective layer over it, and basically we took, instead of doing fiberglass and epoxy, with fiberglass and resin. And my dad and brother, while I was at work one day, decided to get that all done. It did take a little bit longer than we expected to dry, which was unfortunate, but finally it did, and we were able to start putting the framing in. The framing is basically based off of how we are going to put everything in the bus, so I kind of explained my floor plan out and where most of my weight was going to be. So I plan on having a motorcycle in the back, so we made sure there was plenty of framing in the back so that the insulation didn't get pushed down or anything like that. And then there's like where the water tank is going to be and where the fridge is going to be, and then where I'm going to have my power source and my batteries and everything, because those are the top heavy things that I'm going to have. So we made sure that the framing in those specific points was exactly what needed to be there, and maybe went a little overboard, but I'd rather go overboard than not overboard, basically. So then my brother started putting it in the framing. I have bad juju and literally had to stand on the other side of the bus because anytime I was near him, basically you can't put a screw in with Thule around, apparently. So we went and got all the framing in, and then on another day my dad was here and we were able to put in the insulation. I did decide to go with 2-inch fiberboard, able to get it from Lowe's, and just kind of put in everything. From there, basically, my dad and I worked on getting all the insulation in for the floors while my brother started on the roof framing. He had to take out the frame where the emergency hatch was for the bus so that we could make it wider for the hatch that I decided to purchase. My hatch that I bought is just a bit bigger than the space that was actually there on the bus. So he had to cut out the framing that was there and weld up new bars. He is a metal worker. He does stuff for the Marines, and literally for the past 3 years he's been welding. So complete trust in this, that he knew what he was doing, and I don't have to worry about it when I go on my roof, which is a wonderful thing. So after he got that all figured out, my dad and I were able to clean up any metal shavings, and we were able to finish the flooring. They got that all screwed in the next day while I was at work, and they got it screwed in, and then they put chalk lines down so that I'm able to figure out when I start to actually go and put my framing in for counters, bed, couch, everything. I'm able to know exactly where I need to screw so that I'm screwing into wood and not insulation, of course. So while my dad was finishing up putting in all the insulation, I actually wound up being able to put in the kill mat that hopefully will help sound deadening with the walls. Basically, you put in a little bit and it will help the metal from making noise. This is road noise, this is outside noise, this is inside to outside noise. I've already heard a difference in the bus itself, so hopefully it continues to work. Another thing that we did wind up doing, more or less my dad, it was a rainy day, I was at work, he wanted something to do, so he went in and ended up fixing all my windows. When we pulled out the siding of the bus on the inside, we actually had to bend all the metal frames on the windows up and out so that we could get the metal out of that area. On top of that, it was glued in and it was a whole mess to try and get out. And we ended up having to cut it, and it was very, very strong sheet metal, basically. So we bent it, and basically we ended up bending the metal so much that it made the windows leak. Because of that, we had to then bend it back, and hopefully the windows wouldn't leak. And I didn't want to put any insulation, I didn't want to put any wood or framing or anything in there until the windows were fixed. So luckily my dad was able to go through. He did every single window. He took the time out of his day wonderfully, and finally, after each and every window was bent back to straight, it didn't leak. We did add the extra precaution. My dad took the time again. Thank you. He put caulking on the outside of the windows just to help seal it a little bit better, just to make sure that I don't have any future problems with it. But once it was bent back, we fortunately haven't had any issues since. So then after that, my dad and I were able to get the framing on the beams of the roof in, so that basically when I go and screw up my ceiling, it should be easy and I shouldn't have to worry about anything again. Screwing into the metal framing of the bus was really hard. It took a while for him to be able to do that and be able to get everything. We did have to figure out how we were doing the edges and everything, but at some point we did figure out just a solution for that. My brother decided that he wanted to go camping for New Year's, so we ended up going camping, and I was able to bring Coda along. She's my German Shepherd. We enjoyed our tent camping while my brother ended up sleeping in the bed of his truck, and we had a nice little weekend out of it. And then, not maybe 2 weeks later, I had my car breakdown. My car that got me to work and got me anywhere that I needed. So I had quite an emotional breakdown and made it difficult to do anything. And for a week I was carless. Nobody talks about the real life situations that, while evident and in your life, that kind of affects your bus build and your mental state, and the fact that that made me not want to work on my bus. And just because I was frustrated with one car, I got frustrated with another car. I contemplated not sharing the fact that I had a car breakdown, and that because of that I wasn't in the mood, I guess you could say, to work on my bus. But I feel like it's an important part of the story to be able to sit there and equate the fact that, yes, I'm building a bus, but I also have to go to work, and I also have to make money in order to actually build out my bus and follow my dreams. On top of that, I was looking at some photos the other day and looking at what the bus originally started as and how far I've come, even, yes, with it being the help of my brother and my dad, and the fact that when I got my bus, it had seats in it and it had a floor and a roof, and I had to replace all that. And with the little knowledge I had and the help that I've had, I feel like even though at the moment it feels like it's not very much, in the long run, and when you look at the photos and the difference, it's a big difference. And I feel like I need to point that out to myself sometimes, because I feel like I've accomplished nothing and that I haven't gotten very far with it, even though I can look at the photos and the videos and see the visible difference between where I started and where it's at right now. And you know what? That's just going to keep getting better and better every time I work on the bus. So, with that said, I guess I'll end this video, and I think my next one will attack the solar panels that we finally got on the roof, and just adds to the difference in the bus that we've actually made. Thank y'all for watching. Of course, yet again, here I am, on a microphone, not recording my face. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to film the opening for this video, so you get to just listen to me. Today we're going to be talking about doing the rest of the roof and finishing it, and hopefully not having to touch it for a while. So, my brother and I finally got to be able to put the AC back in. We screwed through the roof and put the AC down, bolted it down, and everything finally went perfectly. We then started to put the solar panels together, and as I finished putting the solar panels together, he was able to drill holes in the roof so that he could get the bolts in as I finished putting the solar panels together. I am using Renogy. Everything in my system is all Renogy. The solar panels, inverter, everything. Figured it was easy enough to stay within the same company and to be able to make it so that if anything went wrong, I knew who to call and wouldn't be stuck in a situation where something wasn't compatible or something like that, because I got Renogy and then got something else and then put something from, I don't know, random place on Amazon. So we finally got the solar panels in, and from the top my brother screwed it in, and I held the nuts on the other end so that we could completely seal that down. We did use butyl tape to help seal that so that we didn't have any water leakage. That's purely pressure because the butyl tape doesn't stick to the roof because of the paint that we used. So it's all purely just pressure on there. We got the first two panels on, which we knew we were going to do what direction we were going to do them on, next to the AC. And then we had to kind of mess around with the direction of the other two solar panels. I have 400-watt solar panels, so the first two are next to the AC, and then we decided that one was going to be next to our hatch in the roof, and that the other one was going to be horizontal. So basically they're placed off kilter to each other.
it made more sense. It made it so that the hatch could go in easy, and it gives me good access on the roof. Once we got those all bolted down and everything, we moved on to cutting a hole for the roof hatch. Don't ask me where my roof hatch is from. I do not suggest it. It did not come with instructions. Full honesty, I got it off of Walmart. That is where I got it from. But it was a roof hatch. It latched, it locks, it does everything I need it to do, and it wasn't super expensive, which is always wonderful. We cut the roof hatch hole, and then we ended up screwing down the hatch as much as possible, and we did continue the next morning because we weren't able to get it to go completely flat. So the next morning, we cut the hole just a little bit more to be able to adjust everything and make sure that it was perfect. And then after that, we wound up putting caulking all over the inside and then sealing the outside. And I screwed everything down from in the bottom while my brother went and sealed the top of the roof completely. And we let that dry. And that is really just everything that we did on the roof. It was really simple, really easy. And honestly, it makes me so happy to finally be able to be done with the roof. With that said, I hopefully will be able to show my face in the next video. I do have the next one planned. I already have the video for it. I just have to edit it and put it together. I did talk to the video. I did lose some video. So hopefully I can get a whole video put together for that one. I'm putting up walls in the next video. It is a little emotional as well. Alright. That's it for today's video, and hopefully I now don't have to make another video on the roof for anytime soon. Thank you guys for watching. Welcome back, and welcome to seeing my wonderful face again. I'm sorry for the sound if you guys can hear that. I'm actually running the bus. We had to replace the battery about 2 months ago, and I learned the valuable lesson of needing to constantly start the bus. So every Monday I have an alarm set in my phone to go and start the bus so that my battery doesn't die. So sorry if you hear that in the background. It's only going to be like a half hour or so, but as long as it runs, it's all good. Today I'm going to try to accomplish something that scares me, and I don't know why. I would like to get a wall up over here, and my brother did the other wall, and I don't know why, but cutting a length of board and putting it on and drilling holes and putting screws in, just, it's a huge task for me. And I think everything in this bus has been done with help, with assistance and guidance, and I haven't done anything by myself fully yet. The one thing would be like these wires. I did all the wiring, I put all the insulation in, and I did the kill mat. Everything else I had a ton of help with. So we'll see how this goes, and hopefully by the end of the day I can have at least this lower wall up. I can get over my fear of a saw and my fear of messing it up. Let's see how it goes. Here goes nothing. fits. Screw it in. Alright, so I'm known historically to continuously mess up putting screws into wood, whether it's me putting it in or somebody else. Something about bad juju of Julie being around, I have no clue. So I'm going to attempt to just screw it in and see how the wood likes me today. If not, I'll drill holes and then put the screws in. We'll see what works best. Alright, so my phone decided to die right in the perfect timing. I got the last couple screws in, got one over here for extra support, and then I had a little mental breakdown. Unfortunately, I didn't get that on camera. I guess I'm going to attempt to get that portion of the wall done and see how that goes. It's amazing how just a small little thing, like putting in a wall by yourself, can make you emotional. It's crazy. Alright, and for the big reveal, I got both this section in with your hole there and put in the box. That board is put underneath the actual wall. And then that section, I think that's it for the day. I think I'm going to clean up and go play with the dog a little bit and let her out and exercise. Adios.